we're back, and today is our Lobbyists Are Evil edition. Joining me to talk about this, Chris Dudley from Southern Strategy Group and Katie Webb from Kolodny Fast. Now, you guys are actually evil lobbyists, is that right? You don't look like evil lobbyists, though. I want to talk about this today because I think there's a perception out there in the public. The press likes to portray lobbyists as evil, and I think the public has this image of sort of this fat cat guy with a big stogie in his mouth, and he's wearing the suit with the vest and the pocket watch, and he's takes the politician into the smoke-filled back room and makes deals and brings sacks of money, and that's how I think the media portrays lobbyists. But obviously, that's not what you two are. I can tell by looking at you.
Well, I don't know about Chris, but not me.
You need a cigar. You need to be a little bit chunkier, and you need to have the monocle or at least a pocket watch or something. And I think you need to have a big sack of money.
Right. I mean, I don't smoke cigars, and I have no pair of Gucci shoes.
No Gucci loafers.
No Gucci loafers. Listen, I and Katie will agree with this. I mean, there are 160 members of the legislature. A third of them change every year. There are 3,000 bills filed every year. They have 60 days to pass judgment on them.
Which is a very compressed time. And what you're telling me is it's a complex operation that happens. We spend $80 billion in 60 days, right?
Yeah, $85 billion
85
in 60
billion.
days. Yeah, so, I mean, people have to have some mechanism to have their views heard. And frankly, members, I think we're a valuable asset to members who want access to subject matter experts during the course of the 60 days, whether it's an insurance issue, whether it's a pharmacy issue, a criminal justice issue. I mean, if you can put the right person in front of them and let them learn about these issues, they make good decisions.
So members call you. They know you have maybe a certain expertise on a subject matter, or even on different areas of law or what have you. And they'll call you, or they'll ask you, "Can you explain this to why is this bad? This guy's saying it's good. Why might you say it's not good? Or what's the downside?"
Right.
Why do they hire? Not you specifically, Katie, but why do lobbyists get hired? And it's not just big business either. It's sometimes it's nonprofit groups or whatever that have a cause that need representation. But why do they feel like they need you?
Well, I mean, the legislative process is exactly that. It's a process. And unless you really know how to navigate it, trying to accomplish, passing a bill can be really difficult. And a point that Chris made that I think is a really good one is they do rely on us for subject matter expertise in certain areas. Mm-hmm. And I think the onset of term limits really changed that dynamic a lot, where, we as advocates in certain areas, our background knowledge and institutional knowledge about how the law became the way it is now and why we might need to change it is actually pretty valuable as they're evaluating legislative proposals.
So you're saying, like, for a guy like me who's like a conservative, and I think term limits are a good thing, you're saying our term limits have made lobbyists more powerful.
I would just say that I think they've made us more valuable.
More valuable. And that's fair too, but it makes the staff too, if I'm not mistaken. If you have term limits and you have this turnover and you've got a churn of actual lawmakers, then the staffers become not more powerful but more valuable, and then the and then lobbyists and folks that come in are more valuable, right? That's so that it does sort of level that playing field a little more and takes the power away from a single individual who might remain in power for a long time.
Absolutely.
So whether that's good or bad,
right.
that's the reality, especially in a place like Florida where we do have those term limits in place.
Sure.
You guys, it's not all big business though. There's some good stories about things you guys have accomplished over the years in terms of like good causes and things like that. Where say a nonprofit group that may not know how to navigate this Byzantine world comes to you guys. Is there anything that comes to mind?
I have spent the last 18 years working with the runaway shelters. There are 28 in the state. They're operated by the Florida Network of Youth and Family Services through a contract with DJJ. And it's pro bono work, but I love it. I've been to every runaway shelter in the state. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that matters. It is, and those folks obviously can't be in Tallahassee for 60 days. So They have someone here that's looking out for them, that's reading legislation, that's helping on their appropriation issues. The people talk about big business, but, candidly, most of the work that's done over there is for small Florida-based, companies. So,
yeah. Katie, do you have a story?
Sure. So for the last probably 5 or 6 years, my firm has represented pro bono a child who was abused while under the care of, well, at the time, I guess it was DCF, and was pursuing an appropriation to do some rehab, get therapy, things like that. So we've been working on that for the last couple of years, trying to get that accomplished, and that's something that we do pro bono, and hopefully we'll be successful at it.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Now, Chris, you mentioned a minute ago that people can't be up here for 60 days at a time. And when we come back from the break, I want to touch on that a little bit, because you don't have to be a lobbyist to come up here and actually represent yourself or your views or what you want, but it just helps to have someone here who is monitoring that. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about who can lobby and what you can do and what can be accomplished during that time, and some of the personalities that are involved. We'll be right back after this.